Yeah. Right. You can definitely go to someone that could use it on the farm. Absolutely.
How's the patient?
Oh, we turned him over.
You got rid of, you kicked him out, man.
He had a friend of his come.
Okay.
We just had him just for the initial.
All right, good. Kick him out.
And then, yeah, so he had a friend come and taking care of him. So
Okay. Is your doggy sad?
she's an only child. She's an only child.
Well, she had company. She had,
She
permanent
gets
company.
tired of it though. She doesn't like it. She gnawed on one of his dogs. Because she's an only child.
Right.
She doesn't want any friends. Really. So,
Just temporary friends.
yeah,
Yeah, with doggy memory.
Right out there on Zoom, can you hear us okay on Zoom? Hello out there on Zoom. Can you guys hear us on Zoom okay?
I can hear you, Bo.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it just clicked over 7 o'clock up here. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Tech check, people in Zoom land, can you hear me?
I did get a yes from Zoom just
Okay.
a moment ago.
Yeah, I was curious if they could hear the mics up here.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, we have trustee King is absent tonight. And with that, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. I do have a correction. And item 4D, leave no trace. I'm proposing we move that to 6A and move all the other business items down. Do we have any other corrections to the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to comment on 6B, consideration of 25 budget adoption. We haven't had an opportunity to discuss any of those line items. We spent all of our time, discussing the management contract. So I'd like to see that time spent on discussing the line items and, eliminating that projected deficit.
Trying to see if we could do a discussion and then a vote.
We do have the Excel version of your budget, so we can certainly make those changes. You guys can discuss those prior to the public hearing. And then if you'd like to have those changes included, you can approve the budget as amended.
So it'd be in front of item number 1, discussion.
It'll be during that business item for the consideration of the budget adoption.
Okay. Would it need to, we can just capture it this way, capture it as a discussion, okay. Do we have any other corrections?
No, none from our office.
Okay. With that, I'll go ahead and move that we approve the agenda as modified. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as modified. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item number 3, our consent agenda, our meeting minutes from November 21st. If there's no corrections, deletions, additions, I'd entertain a motion on that one.
I move that we accept the consent agenda. The minutes from 11/21.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve our consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Reports and presentations. Trustees, do you have any reports? Seeing head shaking, I really don't have a report either. So we'll go ahead and go on in the staff reports.
I have the marshal's office starting us off with a staff report, followed by public works and then the town manager.
This was not in your packet due to extenuating circumstances. I'm just giving a copy of it here. Nothing too crazy from the marshal's office as we're going into our slower time. We had 30 calls for service during the month. We assisted other agencies 2 times. They assisted us 2 times. All reporting is completed. We had some things that we had to do for Colorado Crime Information Center. I completed my recertification as the coordinator for our office. And we did have an audit and got recertified to use it. We also, that's not on here, but late today, Deputy Ball notified me that he would be leaving his post here because he got hired with the Rio Grande County Sheriff's Office. And he's going straight into an investigative role there. So a little step up for him. So, and then his wife also got hired there. So they're just picking up and moving. So any questions for me?
Oh, not seeing anything.
We extend our thanks to Deputy Ball.
I will absolutely do that.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up.
Dustin McLean, Public Works Department. I did not make this into the packet either, so I should have probably made printouts. Did not do that. For November, we kind of hit off the month with a bang. We got about 29, 30 inches of snowfall for the last month. I think we've been plowing at least on 10 different occasions. And after it's all said and done, roads are looking in pretty good shape. The parks, in the parks, we shut the diverter off to Catamount Creek, diverting to Fountain Creek, and we're waiting for the ice to get reasonably deep thickness for ice skating and hockey activities. And we're doing bi-weekly trash pickups at all of our receptacles and dog stations since the season has slowed down quite a bit. Our equipment, we've had a fuel line replaced on our skid loader. Replaced a brake line on the new Ford pickup, Ford plow truck. We've washed and serviced both of our sanders, and I replaced a conveyor chain and all the bearings on the older sander. We did an emissions test on the new dump truck. I think we're calling it Gertie. Short for M92982. We also got a license plate for that truck as well. So it is now street legal, and we're looking to upfit it as we go on through the winter. We've continued our shop cleanup and yard cleanup and getting everything cleaned up and organized and streamlined in the shop and outside of the shop. We are doing ongoing CDL training and snowplow training with our part-time parks lady. And that's about all I have.
Okay,
Any questions?
big thank you for the snow plowing.
Oh,
Really
So-
appreciate it.
I had a quick question, Dusty.
Yeah.
Does that valve, does that shut off the flow 100% or does it still
I've got it.
trickle through?
I've got it shut off 100.
Okay.
You know, but it, yeah.
Thanks.
Dusty, before you leave, you just don't get enough public thanks. And I wanted to, I've been thinking about my lived experience going up and down Illinois for the last 2.5 years, and what a vast improvement I've seen. Also with Foster, where I walk the dog commonly. So you've proven yourself, both of you, in urgent situations like last March 14, 15, when we had 30 inches, and also just in terms of the routine maintenance. And wanted to thank both of you publicly for what you do to maintain the roads and get them in such good shape. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. I'd like that. It's not just me, it's the whole team up here. So in the office and outside of the office, we all make it happen. So we appreciate it.
Okay. Next.
It included in your packet here tonight is my official letter of resignation from the community. I do want to take this opportunity and really thank the team that I've been able to work with here. It includes you all, our staff, and the many, many volunteers that help keep things going here in Town Hall. This has been a really positive experience for me. I've learned a lot. It hasn't always been easy for sure, but you know, I leave here with just a feeling of gratitude and knowing that you guys will continue to do really good things here. So thanks.
I'd like to publicly say thank you very much. I spent a lot of time up here in Town Hall observing operations, and I know it can be at times kind of thankless, but it is appreciated, and it's definitely a huge amount of work. Thank you.
And Becky, I'd like to add my thanks as well for the stability that you've provided for the last 3 years. Not only having a town manager that's been here consistently, but also the staff that you've been able to build, and we've got stability in staff as well. And that's, you know, very critical to how well things have been going here recently. So thank you.
Thanks. It's the best team I've ever served on.
Okay, any more staff report?
That's all for staff reports.
Okay. Next up, we have Mr. Rick Sonnenberg to give us a presentation on the Pikes Peak Rural Regional should be rural, shouldn't it? Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority.
Now it's on. Okay. Thank you, Mayor and board members for this opportunity for me to share, and sorry with my difficulty I'm having with my throat. So I'll just blast through it to the best that I can do. So I'm going to read the handout that you have so that the public, both in the room here and at home, can learn what the Pikes Peak RTA is all about. So here we go. The town of Green Meadow Falls joined the city of Colorado Springs, El Paso County, and the city of Manitou Springs on November 2004 with a ballot to ask the voters in these four governments to establish the PPRTA and begin the collection of a 1-cent sales tax collected by the Colorado Department of Revenue. The ballot also specified, it did pass. The ballot specified that 55% of the revenue would be spent on a stated list of transportation capital projects. 35% of the revenue would be spent on transportation maintenance projects, and 10% of the revenue would go for transit programs via Mountain Metro Transit, that's City of Colorado Springs. The 55% capital portion had a 10-year sunset, but not so for the maintenance and transit portions. The capital maintenance allocations to the member governments is by population using the most recent federal census. The ballot also had an administration max of 1% of total revenues, which funds 2 staff members, Lisa Corey, our finance director, and myself. The administration of the PPRTA was to be handled and now is handled by the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments via staff members that the PPACG hires, and PPACG hired Lisa and myself. The town of Rama went to their voters in November 2008, and their voters approved joining the PPRTA in 2009. So that was member government number 5. PPRTA board then went back to the voters in November of 2012 to request an additional 10 years for the capital program. Remember, that's on a 10-year sunset cycle. With a new list of capital projects on the ballot, the voters approved PPRTA 2 by nearly an 80-20 margin. This term for the capital program, PPRTA 2 capital program, was from 2015 to 2024. That's 2024. That's where we are. This is the end of this PPRTA 2, the second 10-year cycle of the capital program. Town of Calcan went to their voters in November of 2021, and their voters approved joining the PPRTA in 2022. So that's member government number 6. Then, since PPRTA 2 was going to end in 2024, the board went back to the voters in November of 22 to request the voters approving a third 10-year capital program with a new list of capital projects on the ballot. The voters again approved PPRTA 3 by nearly an 80-20 margin. This term will be from 2025 through 2034. Expenditures or contracts of $25,000 or more must be approved by the PPRTA board via 3-party contracts with PPRTA, the member government, and their vendor. Payments by the PPRTA to vendors could be either direct to the vendors with member government backup and approval, or by reimbursement to the member government, which that member government that has paid the vendor and has to provide adequate backup submitted to the PPRTA staff. The draft 2025 budget is 163 million, which contains 150 million of sales tax revenue, 10 million of interest income, and miscellaneous revenue from Mountain Metro Transit. Town of Green Mountain Falls is shown in the draft 2025 budget to receive approximately 52,000 of maintenance funds and 74,000 of capital funds. It's our calculation, also confirmed by your staff, that your citizens and visitors pay approximately $74,000 on the 1 cent PPRTA sales tax that DOR collects in your jurisdiction. So as you can see, if Town of Green Mountain Falls through its citizens and visitors are contributing 74,000 to the BPRTA, you're getting back 74,000 of capital and 52,000 of maintenance funds, so you're at plus 52,000 annually. Yes, these budget figures should grow annually with some degree of inflation each year for the next 10 years. Board of Directors has 10 board members, City of Colorado Springs having 3, El Paso County having 3, City of Manitou Springs and towns of Callahan, Green Mountain Falls, and Rama each having 1. There's a Citizen Advisory Committee with 21 members, City of Colorado Springs having 3, El Paso County having 3, City of Manitou Springs having 2, and the towns of Callahan, Green Mountain Falls, Rama each having 1. In the audience here tonight is your current Citizen Advisory Committee member, Craig Gooding, and former CAC member, Ann Esch. And additionally, on the Citizen Advisory Committee, commonly called the CAC, the Board of Directors appoint 6 CAC members at large and 4 CAC members to at-large alternate seats. So that's the end of my overview, but I'm ready, willing, and able to take any and all questions.
Okay, trustees, questions? Comments? Thanks, Rick. Craig, you kind of mentioned you might want to say something too. Okay, thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
So we asked Rick to be here. Trustee Walker asked me recently in a previous meeting when the PPRTA came up if I wanted to kind of describe it. I wasn't prepared, and so I declined at that point in time. But I talked to Becky, and she said it's not unusual for Rick to come and talk, particularly when there have been new members of boards of trustees and that sort of thing. So I appreciate Rick coming to do that. I just wanted a moment to kind of give you the view from the trenches as somebody who's on the CAC. It is a very collegial group. I think it's safe to say that somebody walking in, just observing us, would probably not be able to tell which particular government any one member was a representative of, because it's all about the PPRTA as a whole. And we're working together as a group to best handle the funds that we've been entrusted with. The CAC actually does not approve anything. They recommend for approval, and then it goes to the board. Mayor Dixon is a member of the board, and then the board itself actually approves the contracts. So, but we're kind of the first line of defense. We do ask questions, and the city engineer, for example, of Colorado Springs is always there to present their contracts to us. So similarly with the county engineer, I can ask questions of either of them and they'll answer me even though I'm not a taxpayer within their community. So it works very well. It's been able to support a whole bunch of projects over the years. I do have, and we have available to us, the annual report that is done every year that shows all the different projects. And it is a tremendous amount of projects that are accomplished throughout El Paso County. So thanks for this. I've really enjoyed being on it, and I appreciate your support in having me as a member of the CAC. Thank you.
Okay. These questions, comments?
Well done, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. And again, Rick, thanks for making the drive up the pass.
And thank you, trustee Walker, for organizing and getting those presentations for us.
Okay. Our next item will be public comment since the Leave No Trace has moved to business. You know, we're going to be voting on the request. So we needed to move that to business. So we'll do public comments first, and we'll go to the local audience. We've got a 3-minute timer up here, and I'll try to keep you to 3 minutes. So yeah, anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment? If you would give your name and address.
Lisa Bonwell, 10691 Illinois, Green Mountain Falls. I haven't really prepared a statement, but I do have some comments, and I want the board to know and others in the room to know how I feel about the last month or two of transactions that the trustees have demonstrated. I know that Becky is leaving probably for many reasons, but one that seemed pretty obvious to me that was disrespectful to her was being not prepared at these meetings and continuing to postpone decisions about the contract. I think if the trustees could be better prepared, I think that would be helpful. I was disappointed in how all that kind of occurred. I want to thank Becky and Bo from my heart about the wonderful job that she's done and all the support that she's put forth to our community, to you guys as well. But then I think just little people like me, she's been always willing to talk and help and stand behind us. I want to thank our public works too, since I have a moment. I think they do a fantastic job. And like Trustee Bell said, I don't think they get enough recognition. And I hear you guys out there chugging up my road, and I'm so excited when you do. And thank you so much for all you do. So I think that's about all I wanted to say. But I know some of the trustees ran on representing the people, and I don't see representation of the people. We're here a lot, and I just wanted you to hear that. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other public speakers in the audience? Go ahead.
Ann Esch, 6830 Colorado Street. First, I'd like to thank Craig and Rick, of course, for the Pikes Peak area PPRTA, which is all about roads. I did that for about 5 years, and they do have at-large positions available, I believe. And if someone wanted to apply from Green Mountain Falls, it's nice for the mountains to have knowledge and help. Then, as far as our wonderful town manager leaving us, I'm really sorry that this has occurred. She has been, like Lisa said, extremely helpful to me, always available. So is Bo. When I come in with questions as a member of the Planning Commission, just personally, they have time to talk and educate me before a meeting. And I know they're that way with any citizen. So I would just like to say, I don't know if Becky would do it, but why don't you apply for the interim and stay with us? Because the whole nation is going through an extreme upheaval with sections of government, and we have to water the grassroots. This is where the action is, and Becky knows it. You know, we need a leader to help us through all this time. So that's my opinion, and I want to thank them, and I thank the trustees too. I know that you're sincere, and the road crew level and the marshal, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more speakers in the audience? I'm not seeing any, so we'll go to Zoom.
I do have a comment coming in from Zoom.
Okay, go ahead. We did have it.
Oh, were you referring to me?
I am, and now we can see you and hear you. You're
Oh,
up.
wonderful.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you. So good evening, trustees. I see in tonight's agenda that you plan to discuss advertising for a town manager vacancy. I feel it's a mistake to recruit for a position the town cannot afford. A little history: in 2016, a 3-year state DOLA grant provided $125,000 to fund half of the newly established town manager position. Since 2019, town revenues are the sole source of funding for this large portion of the town's budget. For a couple years during the COVID-19 pandemic, the town did receive federal CARES Act funds, and those are now gone. From what I've seen, the town manager position has become a crutch, a thing of convenience. As a taxpayer, I find the 6-figure expense of salary and benefits decidedly inconvenient, especially since it's hard to know on any given day if our town budget is in the red or in the black. Some claim the town manager position is essential, that the complex nature of government demands a full-time manager. That's always been the case. It's the human condition to blow things out of proportion. Look no further than the prior generations of our town, supplemented by a wage-appropriate town clerk treasurer who conducted our town government affairs and did it well. Again, how essential is a managerial position that only comes to work 3 days a week? Admittedly, some work can involve telecommuting. Managing the 5+ day a week public works and marshal department is not one of them. According to Clay Brown, who was formerly with DOLA, a deciding factor for many town boards in employing a town manager is the lack of due process when the board hires and fires. Green Mountain Falls, under the town manager system, increasingly relies on expensive legal review on almost all matters. So why pay the expense of a town manager when such issues will receive legal scrutiny anyway? The town is clearly on an unsupportable path with skyrocketing personnel costs and outsourcing. Look no further than the present call to raise our taxes. The town already outsources legal, accounting, and planning. Can't a lower paid position coordinate these services? Especially if the volunteers in the town committees are empowered, like all of you have stated support for. I see the town manager vacancy as an opportunity for you, our elected leaders, to structurally change our town government and return to basics. Please eliminate the position and balance the town budget without raiding reserves. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Do we have anyone else on Zoom who'd like to comment?
I'm not seeing anything else coming in from Zoom.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and move on then to the leave no trace presentation and business item. And I believe this is a gentleman's name is Miles Groth.
Yeah, Miles Groth.
Okay, thank you.
Miles Groth.
There we go. My name is Miles Groth. I'm a teacher at Ute Pass Elementary. I've been teaching there for 11 years, so I'm a big part of this community, and I have been for several years. I don't know how familiar everyone is with Ute Pass Elementary, but over the past few years, our enrollment has grown significantly, which is part of what keeps our school open and alive and thriving. And one of the ways we have done that is by a focus on outdoor education and environmental learning, where students are really engaged in what they're doing. So just as an example, our class goes on several field trips throughout the year with a focus on camping, learning in the outdoors, and really engaging ourselves in what we're doing. About 4 years ago, because we go camping, it's a lot to take care of and figure out and plan with students, especially students under the age of 12. So one of the things that's really helped me is Leave No Trace. It's an organization out of Boulder, Colorado. It's an international organization at this point. And Leave No Trace does a lot of research on how to minimize impacts in the outdoors. When I take 45 students backpacking, we're going to have an impact. But one of the goals is to minimize that impact. And that would be on the trails, minimize erosion by not cutting switchbacks, or minimize trash by picking up what we find, leaving things where they lay, and not disturbing the natural environment. So a few years ago, we became the only public school in the country to receive Leave No Trace Youth Program certification. And it's really helped in many ways kind of guide our programming. It's helped students learn and deepen their understanding, as well as give us an opportunity to make sure when we step outside of our classroom, if that's with our family, with our friends, or with our classmates, that we are minimizing the impacts. And I think that is really essential in our community to really take care of the trails around us. So over the past few weeks, I've been talking with different organizations that help with the trails in our town, with the goal of pursuing the Leave No Trace gold standard site designation. And what this entails is kind of working with the land managers to really look at what we are doing to train and to implement some improvements when it comes to maybe it could be signage, maybe it's just education and trail stewards and trail ambassadors, and how we can better better educate the users of the trails, and how we can better educate the people that are using the trails to better take care of them. It has helped in bringing some kind of notoriety. So it's being the only public school with this designation is definitely something that's helped our school and helped us kind of guide our way. The final piece that I really want to emphasize is, through all this, our school has really focused on service in the community. So we have already this year, we've had 2 different service day, one being the Creek Week, where the whole school spent time picking up hundreds of pounds of trash around the community. The second, we worked with Catamount up in Woodland Park, and the whole school, 200 students and staff, spent the entire day working on improving trails, minimizing erosion. And we would love the idea. We like the idea of making this more focused on our local community, where our school sits, and where our students come from and where they live. So the goal would be to, over the next several months, to plan and go for this gold standard designation. It is something that I've gone through the process at the school and feel that it's very attainable. If the organizations, the land managers, work together, it's also an opportunity to grow leadership and community service within our school system, which I feel is very important. I do not necessarily, I'm sure this brings about plenty of questions, but that's a little background of the why I feel it's important, and why I bring that here before the trustees.
Okay, question, what would be if we approve this partnership, I believe is the ask, what would be needed from the town?
So I think one of the big things, so the first part would be working together to, one of the goals would be to kind of improve some signage. So really making sure like on the trails to make sure we are super clear about certain aspects of how like trail etiquette. Leave No Trace has 7 key principles. And so one thing would be something like signage and making sure that we are working together. So before we place a sign or before we work together to create the sign, we're in agreement what it looks like and where to place it. So that would be one example. I think one other example would be around Gazebo Lake and finding and working together on what improvements do we want to make. So one thing that I have seen is a lot of fishing line and hooks around. So number one, some education around that. But number two, the students may be working together with the town to create a new receptacle to collect that, or service days where we come up and we work together to clean up areas around the pond. One of the first steps is to complete an assessment and through the assessment, I think we would start to identify some needs, and it would not be myself or my students just jumping in and addressing those needs, but making sure that they fit with the town's needs.
Okay, so would there be like potential for materials costs the town would need to support, labor costs or anything along those lines?
I think one of the things that I'm planning, there is no specific financial ask that I have right now. That is something that through some school grants and through some service project, that is something that I can, if like we wanted to build a new receptacle to collect fishing line, that is something that I would be able to find some grants through. I do know that there are some bear-proof trash cans, and one of the things that is needed is a concrete pad for them. That would be something that I would pursue some funding for. However, because it is town property, I would want to make sure we are doing that right. And I'm not 100% sure where the ask would be. Certainly myself pursuing the funding, but then working with the town or the town works to make sure it is done properly and we're all in agreement.
Trustees, any other questions, comments?
Miles, explain your, how you see your relationship with the PRT.
So I think the first thing is when this implementation guide that is up here kind of covers a lot of the steps. And one of the first things is that assessment. So while I have a school perspective, a student perspective, and the service goal, I know the PRT has their own individual goals as an organization. So working together as a group to make sure it's not just something that I am doing or something they are doing, but kind of blending those and working together. I know for one example, the PRT and Friends of Green Mountain Falls Trails, one of the big things that they've talked about is the Hiker 5. That is not very much different than these Leave No Trace 7 principles. The overlap is pretty significant. So it's not like, oh, we're kicking that idea out of here. It's working together to what does trail etiquette look like in Green Mountain Falls? How can we blend those and how can we meet their goals? And I think I honestly picture those land managers driving this more than my ideas, and the school supporting that through students, through a partnership and through some of this community service.
Yeah, like right now, the Friends for You Pass Trails works under the auspices of PRT. Would you be willing to do that as well?
Certainly. Yeah, I do not think this is not something that I'm trying to take leadership of. It's something that I want to partner with, and I think it would help minimize impacts on the trails. It would help educate users better. So the trails in our community are better taken care of. And even there, the better taken care of, I really mean by the people that are using it, not by the town or by the organizations, by the people that are using it.
Good point.
So what I'm hearing is, from our perspective, is agreeing to an organizational partnership that would then be managed through PRT, the specifics of how they implement the program in coordination also with UPass or the Friends of UPass Trails. So, yeah, and you're not seeking any kind of financial support from the town.
No,
just a partnership.
A partnership. And I
uh,
think, I mean, I do think there are always goals that we have. We might have an awesome goal. We know that it may not be, there are always those higher goals. And if we are not able to financially meet those, there are plenty of other goals or steps along the way that we can. So
I'd like to propose that we agree that the two organizations, PRT and the sixth grade class at the elementary school, form a partnership, find common values and how they can work together. I don't know if we're seeking.
Is that a motion?
More. That would be a
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Are the students during the service projects covered under the school's insurance?
yes, and that through everything that we've done so far, we've done things through City of Colorado Springs Parks, through Sanborn Western Camps, through Catamount, and all three of those. Before those, we have gone through the school district to make sure we have approval for that. So I think we would do the same. A lot of times with those, the organization also has a waiver that we would also look at and pursue in that situation to make sure that insurance, and I'll note that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any luck convincing Canadian Geese to leave no trace?
I think there is, the funny part is that they have a lot of research on little things through the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. And while I don't know of any specific around Canada geese, I do think it is something where like just educating the public, like by feeding them, we are creating this. And these are the negative aspects. So while I don't think that's going to solve the problem whatsoever, I do think that there are some goals in here that could hopefully start reaching towards that. And maybe we have like one less.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Manager Frank, are you suggesting we need an MOU or is that too much layer?
That's probably if there comes a situation where an MOU needs to occur. How do you work with other organizations? Do you have?
There are often MOUs between the school district and other organizations. And I think that'd be something that I do think this idea of formalizing this connection, and the school more than anything wants to give back to the town, and any ways we can formalize it through a formal MOU would
Probably need to have the description of the project and the goals identified.
certainly
in that MOU.
But we can still approve an overall
Concept.
partnership
Yep.
and a conceptual partnership with. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to restate my motion that the town of Green Mountain Falls enters into partnership with UPass Elementary School, specifically the sixth grade class for Leave No Trace education and further development. And that plan to be developed through PRT, through coordination with PRT.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve partnership with UPass Elementary School as previously described. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is consideration approval resolution 2024-07, the certification of our 2025 mill levy.
This is a formality necessary to complete each year by December 15th. I just got these final numbers from Teller and El Paso County. 17.588 mils gets us to this number here. And that's what I got.
Okay, trustees. Discussion, questions, comments?
Just a clarification on language. So you said this, the 17.588 mils gets us to these numbers here. We are currently at 17.588 mils, and we're simply approving the continuance of 17.588 mils. And this is the revenue that's expected from that mill levy, correct?
That is exactly
Okay,
right.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
A little bit more clarification. This allows you to utilize tax revenues collected through property tax for operational expenses.
I move that we adopt a resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2024-07, certification of our 2025 mill levy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consideration of our 2025 budget adoption, and for the modification agenda, it's open for discussion. If we do were you gonna bring up Dollar Trust?
I would like to.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so we're in the discussion portion of the budget. Okay, so I would like us, the BoT to further consider expanding the use of Colo Trust. Bo has given us numbers previously that demonstrates that we could put more of our cash into Colo Trust and raise revenues by approximately 15 to 20,000 for the year. I don't know how we move forward with that, but that's what I would like us to discuss and consider. Whether that becomes a discussion for a future meeting or it is part of this budget discussion.
I think it's perfectly acceptable for it to be part of this budget discussion. We would just need some board direction. Currently, when we put more into Colorado Trust, the board said put 40% of our cash holdings in there. We could certainly increase that amount to anything that you deem appropriate. I would say leaving approximately 20% of our cash in our Pikes Peak bank account would allow us the flexibility that we would need in order to get the bills paid.
So is that something we can add as a line item that shows we have revenue from it?
Yep.
We can add to this budget to cancel out our $21,000 deficit.
Let me find that on here. Where do we have Colo Trust? So if we were to, and Bo, help me with these figures. We currently have 40% of our earnings in here, or our cash on hand in Colorado Trust. If we were to increase that by double it, we could anticipate that this figure would also double.
Yeah, Tori and I projected that could change to 20K very conservative.
With,
Based on current year.
nope, don't get too eager there.
There you go, we're balanced.
And Bo, you had a recommended percent for us to target?
You know, the board approved a 40% threshold. So 40% of our general fund balance is in Color Trust. And we brought on Victoria Workgen, who's our like accountant here. And she, in all her experience, you just put everything in. She's recommending that we just kill the money market account. Just have an effective checking account and run everything out of Color Trust as needed.
And we had all those discussions at that time. We're just trying a new thing and we just didn't want to put everything in once
Yep.
till we
absolutely.
saw how it happened.
Yeah,
And it works.
So,
and I'm more comfortable with it now, like at the time that I was pitching it, you know, I'm like the treasurer saying, hey, let's put all our money in this investment thing. And seeing it work and learning more about it, I feel much more confident recommending a complete.
Oh.
into that.
I need some Excel help.
So I'm looking for a final sort of recommendation. So you're suggesting that we take all the money out of the money market. And that is also supported by our CPA, and Victoria supports that as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think we should use Color Trust to the fullest extent that we can.
and we had a full presentation about it.
And I,
Right.
and I remember,
And it
and
was
I,
impressive.
Yep.
We probably should have had this discussion earlier. So we wouldn't have to talk about the $20,000 tonight, but.
so can I make a motion then? Is that how those should proceed, or should we discuss further? And
I suspect there may be potential other amendments. And so let's kind of go through those, and because I've got a couple I'd like to propose. Under admin expenses. Okay, go down to professional services professional. I would like to drop that to 15,000. I'm proposing we drop that to 15,000
55,000.
from 30. It's 30,000 now in the proposed budget. So at half it. But then if you go up to,
And I understand, but what are we cutting? Is that the baseline?
well, there's two
Primarily-
things, two. There are two entities, my understanding that funds, and one's the accountant, one's baseline. Am I correct? And so that would be, the intention is to bleed down baseline's funds, but then I'd also propose that we add 8,000 back in to the part-time labor to cover for the planner position that we're trying to do in-house. It should save about an extra 7.
What are your numbers again?
So instead of 30,000 for professional services, it'd be 15. Should be up the top.
Right.
There you go. And then on the previous page, when you're ready, take the labor part-time from 2,000 to 10,000.
What's the net effect on that?
Net effect would be 7.
Reduce our
We'd
expenses
be
by
more-
7?
Yeah, I believe, right? 15,000 plus subtracting another 8 would leave 7. So yeah, it should put us a little extra 7,000. And if you're doing that real time in Excel, what's that? Where's that put us?
I need just a moment.
Okay.
I hate to add stuff, but I noticed that the overtime budget for Marshall's office is $500.
What are you proposing?
It
A
doesn't
number
seem,
that's higher?
well, I'm saying that doesn't seem like a reasonable
Reasonable amount.
number.
Right.
That I know what Marshall, Will was covering and ended up with a big week. He got called a lot one week when he was covering. So that's kind of a fluke thing, but accounting for it is probably the right thing to do. It could happen again.
Well, and if he gets called out, if we have a holiday and he has to work on a holiday for whatever reason, it's not just normal pay, it's overtime pay because of that holiday. So, and that happens as well. And we try to have people cover on holidays because that's when we tend to get calls, like Thanksgiving, people argue with their relatives, we get called out. Like
You-
it is
I hate
what
to
it is.
put you on the spot,
Yep.
but do you know what you paid over last year?
I am not aware of our
Yeah,
overtime
yeah.
number right off the top of my head, no.
So is that where the year to date 491 is coming in?
Is that accurate? I don't know.
That's the line item says 491.
I've got to think that it's probably greater than that, but I don't know for sure.
I would suspect it is.
Right, yeah.
He hardly goes, it's really rare, although, now that you mentioned that scenario, that did just happen on Thanksgiving, like exactly what he just said. It did just happen. So I can check that and get back to you guys. If you give me a minute, I can probably go run that right now.
No worries for me. It's these guys.
Do you propose to increase it, double it or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think double it would be reasonable. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to spend it, right? But you can't spend it if it ain't there.
So while we're in Department 40 for public safety, Officer Goings had made a presentation to us regarding radios and tasers. And so I'm looking at the line item for equipment and vehicles of 3,000. Is that inclusive of that presentation or is that some?
No, that should be modified.
The request that the marshal's office and that I think Public Works had a couple of capital expenses also. Those are capital expenses. They have not been included in this budget.
So, all right. So first off, I'm looking in the wrong category. So it wouldn't be in
It'd be in our Fund 2.
Can you remind me, specifically for public safety, what the radio and taser ask was for the coming year?
Oh, we took those docs out of this folder.
Oh, yeah. This is all old.
Okay.
I can go.
Well, what I actually need is to pop into this folder so that we can bring them up is the presentations from both the Public Works and the marshal's office. So I can do that for in a moment if you can play with this formula. So we can get those numbers for you, but with the it's the total, our total revenues for Fund 1. I've got it. Did you?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. There.
Do we need to take a brief recess? How many minutes do you think you'll need? 5 minutes. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
So I changed, I did the recommendation. And so now it's possible.
He just wants to do it without having. And hope for the next. You know, it's probably good. Yeah, like your medium. That's a great laptop. You're catching, flipping, yanking. It works. Laptop off. Yeah, I've said a lot about that, you know, one guy, yeah. Pop out of my back. I know. Well, I think I think I fixed it, but I think. Well. Quick.
Are we gonna have a balanced budget now? Are we gonna have a balanced budget with these changes?
Need to get the latest info, because you know, if we add in the pages, we're probably right on the line. I can get how much, it seems like it's 50 here or something like that. That would put us right on that. Yeah, I get it. Right on that. Yeah.
We could knock some out of the training we budgeted. There's a lot of fluff in that.
I think there's probably still. Actually get into it. Bring back whatnot. Well, there's something else. I'm sure we have a bad rain season. Maybe. Depends on. At the end of the year. You're good. You know, Actually, he doesn't want to learn so far. He must have been down here.
Well,
So, but the way things stand right now, you have all things general fund to make it balance out. That's right, it's about, but ideally, you don't want that, you want surplus. Well, you want a surplus so you can buy those extra things that you want for the town, not that one. You know.
It doesn't. I've gotten to a point where it doesn't, you know, you run nearly as much now, actually it's coming in.
Oh,
That's.
I understand I understand you. But something we're supposed to be paying attention to. And that we should be able, to answer the question when the public asks. Right, right. I know she wanted to.
And hopefully give us. I hope we're getting the flag. Okay. Folks, if you'd cease your conversations in the audience, we'll go ahead and reconvene. Where are we at?
Recapping changes made here currently. We did increase the amount that we will put into Colorado Trust to 20,000. That's this line item here, 185. Then down in administration, part-time labor, we did increase that from 2,000 to 10,000. And reduced this professional services by 50% to 50,000. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of your budget document so that you can see the impact that these changes have made on your budget. We formerly had was it about $20 some $1,000 requirement from the general fund reserves. This reduces it to now a $9,600 need from the general fund reserve.
What's that $12,000 number?
I think that was Victoria's notes that was left over on this document. It's not on the document that we saved for you all on a regular, no. I think it's a column where she was doing math. Yes.
Manager Frank, what is the, what are the items that are being booked into non-professional labor?
That's porta potties, I believe. Let me look and see where that's at on your budget here. Sorry, Zoom land.
We figured that out the last year, it was that big number.
It's interdepartmental, correct?
That's Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that's porta potties.
Can we get that label changed? If it's really just for porta pots, can we get that label changed?
We may book things like if we were to need an electrician down there to that as well.
And if there's a conversion to the existing porta potty, how will that change that cost?
So
when we move into a tank system,
if we were to be able to transition that into a tank system, it would drastically reduce the costs. It'd be a larger capacity of a tank. And so the need to pump it out would be reduced. I know that the couple of times that we pumped out completely the existing composting toilet, which is still serviceable if it were to need to be put back into useful life, it could be. But to fully clean it out, it was about $300 per. 350, versus, much more frequent servicing of the porta potties.
So the current budget doesn't anticipate the conversion,
Mhm.
correct?
Right.
Okay, or the potential cost reduction that would result. Okay.
Right.
All right. And has PRT done a cost analysis looking at that, or is it strictly looking at the capital to install, et cetera?
We've been, they have been doing research on it, since the mayor requested a report. And it's two major choices. One's building a vault, a holding tank, and the other was the other possibility is hooking it into the existing sewer septic system that the town square is on.
And is that more of a summer 25 kind of finish, a fall 25?
It would depend
Maybe.
upon securing funding
Okay.
for a capital
Okay,
project
all right.
there.
So we should leave the budget as is. We shouldn't anticipate. Okay, that conversion. All right.
Do we have to do anything to the composting toilets to just use them as pump toilets? Like, I know they're not composting efficiently, but can we just use them in place of the porta johns?
It's not really designed as a holding tank. It's designed kind of a decomposition tray.
I'm regretting my question, the further this
TMI.
goes.
Do we have any other proposed amendments?
I have a question of clarity. I got to find the right line item here. Somewhere. There's a line item for FMAC at $45,000 in expense. And I'm assuming that's the residual from the Kirkpatrick Family Fund grant of 65. And so my question isn't so much about the spend. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 42,250.
Mhm.
So my question is more about, does the grant money show up in the revenue section? How is that
Yes.
offset? So
Yes, so it's a wash essentially.
yeah, it's a wash, but
Yeah,
I didn't,
we have.
where does that appear?
We have received, so this is under expenses, and I should probably update this number as well. We did receive invoice from CUSP today that we've paid for the 8 acres that was able to be accomplished up on Thomas Trail. So that ends up being, and we're working on submitting a reimbursement for that currently. Oh, no, it's actually really darn close to what I thought it was gonna be. It's off by a little bit, but nominal. So where that comes in is local grants here. And you'll see where it's offset under the revenue section, under
okay.
capital improvement, local grants. And we renamed that mostly because there could be other local grant sources that come in, and rather than have multiple line items that are project specific, it was a more efficient way to do it. And then capital fire mitigation is where it's offset down below under expenses.
Okay, thank you. I was just missing where the money was coming in. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose we cut the training and professional development that's scheduled, that's budgeted for 4,000, down to 1,000 for a $3,000 savings.
Under
Um,
which department?
Under the admin. We've only spent less than $1,000 this year.
I received a scholarship to attend conference this last year, so the town didn't bear that expense. But should the person that you bring on next want to attend some of those professional conferences, it's hard to say whether or not they would scholarship.
I'm proposing a $3,000 reduction in the $4,000 budget.
And once that person comes in, you can certainly discuss their training needs with them. All right, almost there. I'm gonna go back to bottom line here.
How about IT expense? Can we knock some?
Definitely not recommended to cut the IT. That's your network, your firewall. It's really what protects your permanent files.
How about, the fountain itself is on a timer. And the electric for the fountain, we've got it a couple thou. We could put that timer on, right? And cut that in half. I mean, we're kind of getting down to the small amounts here.
So that's for running the pump to aerate so we're oxygenating the water and, okay,
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a fountain for a long time.
okay.
And
And the
they're
fish
just
still
being-
survived, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they still survive.
Just
so.
out, yeah.
Dusty and Kelly, how do you guys feel about the pool temperature that we maintain? The reason I ask, I guess I'll give you a little more. I paid closer attention to that bill, and we were regularly cutting $500 or $600 checks to Black Hills for heating that. And then we had some algae blooms that we had to deal with, extra work, extra chemicals. And I'm wondering if the hotter temperature of the water contributed. No way, we just passed that boiler inspection. That thing's good to go.
Yeah.
I was only kidding. I'm sure you.
And there's the possibility that, with the pool park renovation coming potentially up, we may not have any expenses on, or very few expenses on pool. We may be tearing things up.
Is there an opportunity to increase the revenues that the pool brings in through a campaign to lease it out to those that would like to have birthday parties, et cetera, or additional programming? We tested that out this year with the water aerobics that seemed to be very popular. I think a little bit of a push on those types of activities could help to bring in some additional revenues.
Do we have any idea on guesstimates?
We did on the 2023 or 2024 fee schedule, change gazebo rentals to facilities rentals. So we already kind of have that in place. And we could change that category.
So our revenue from rentals is at 6,800 right now. Or probably a little over. This report was run in September, right?
Yeah, but the bookings do taper off.
Yeah, but over a year, would
Yeah.
it be feasible to call that 7,000
Oh, for
or
sure.
8?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Which 8?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any other potential amendments?
Mm. There's a $3,000 on equipment purchases for under department general expenses. $3,000 is what's budgeted. I would propose we knock $1,000 off of that.
Did we have anything identified that's gonna run that, or is that just general?
I think that I want to make sure that I'm on the right.
General department, interdepartment.
Interdepartmental. I think that might have been left over from when we ended up buying, when we budgeted for new computers for.
Can we knock off 2
Yeah,
grand?
let's knock off 2.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right. What, my eyes are bouncing. Do you see? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, are we going for 0?
Why not?
All right, you got $604.55.
Take it off, though. That's what I was gonna say, drop full-time admin labor down $600 and you're there.
Okay. How about this one? We've got $1,000 budgeted for marketing on interdepartmental. Let's take the balance off of that.
This is something that we really haven't used.
Wait, what is it?
Marketing,
For what?
interdepartmental.
I don't know. I actually, we're running a whole campaign about this election and budget stuff going on. I think we're actually gonna use that this year where we have never used it before.
Wrong answer.
We're back on your paycheck. All right, let's like, I think we should leave that in there if we're really gonna.
Well, and that's the other thing that's not in here is that we did take out election expenses. So
I know, right?
All right, so can we go back to IT? Because I think that's extraordinarily a lot for an office. Can we knock off some, see if we can find some cost saving measures on our IT?
Becky brought up a
Well-
point, which is that we, because of ballot question A in April, we coordinated our elections with the 2 respective counties.
mhm.
So we no longer have a budget for an election in here. And I think, did we have 5 grand?
6 and
6 and
before. Yeah, but
But now-
coordinating it with the county, I think we can expect about $2,000 in the election. So I think that does need to be included back up in here.
Can we take that out of IT? So.
We can take it out of wherever. So here's actually where I do think that we can achieve some savings through IT. It is going to require reconfiguring our phones to a different thing for our building. All of our buildings. We currently have our phones hosted through Flare, and our IT company did identify a cheaper alternative, so I will get that info over to you. I am uncertain as to what the cost savings is there, but we can certainly hope that it can reduce that. Ooh.
So, and the audit expense of 6,000, is that a flat fee regardless of how long it takes them, whether it takes them?
You're
5
getting a great deal on that.
Well, we don't want that good of a deal, right? I mean, we don't want them to spend 5 months auditing.
Right.
Yeah, so when our books are in better shape and the audit becomes more efficient, is it still 6,000?
It's gonna be at least
It's a flat fee
6,000.
regardless of how
I
long.
know
they
that
take.
I talked to a neighboring manager who just interviewed different auditing companies, and certainly their books are a little bit more complicated than ours are. But this is a pretty good rate for the service that we get.
And that whole expense, that goes to the auditor, right?
Yeah.
That's an.
So did,
Right.
Did you just take 2,000 out of IT and put it in a new line item?
I did.
For
but you're-
election.
Yep, you're at a, we made no gains there.
All right, so we're still searching now.
Yep. We actually are going to potentially have some software. Oh, well, fees, payroll processing will end up being a wash, but I do believe that implementing switching over out of Arrays to a different accounting software, which we've already initiated, will achieve some cost savings. And I think it'll be significantly less, but we do need to keep hold of that software for a little while, particularly while the new person is seated, so that they're able to kind of see the trail of work that we've done. But
Can we
I
drop it down by 1,000?
think we can drop it down by 2. Mm-hmm. All right, let's look at our bottom line.
Like, even if you cut it in half, that would get us, we would still have a raise through the audit.
That's
If we
true.
did it on time, then I bet that's the final. So you might be able to shave that more.
All right. Let's hope for the best. Any you know, deviation from this will need to be brought to you guys, but. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, it looks like you're in the black by 4K.
Clerk's back in business.
How'd that happen?
We dropped the software.
How much did you take off?
11.5 and we dropped it to 7,500. So I think we need to keep it until we're through major hostilities in our next audit.
Well,
We're experimenting with that, but that's.
I think really what needs to happen is your next manager needs to evaluate both the arrays and the QuickBooks that are set up and determine which to keep. We were, it was recommended by our auditor that we not use the current software that we're using.
Okay, yeah, any other additional amendments? Okay, our next item, if there's no additional amendments or discussion from trustees, it is 8:35. We will open up, back up the public hearing, and I'll go to the audience first. See if there's any commenters. Okay.
Ann Esch, 6830 Colorado Street. I noticed that it's time to reapply to be on all the, like the Planning Commission and the various committees. And I hope people will step up and do that, and I hope we can get some alternates, on the Planning Commission also, because they'll learn so much. And I was just talking to Sherry about that. It's like a jury, if they come to all the meetings, they could step in and vote if we need a quorum. And they're educated, just about our town. And I just want to say I've had a great experience being on the Planning Commission. And I'm not sure if I'll reapply, but I hope others, get a lot of applications. In fact, I'm going to put the form on the politics page tomorrow and say, here it is, folks, sign up and help the town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other, since we're open public hearing on the budget, any other comments on budget? In the audience, I'm not seeing any, so we'll go to Zoom.
I hid the Zoom window from Bo. Will you give him just a moment?
Say again, I can't hear you.
I hid the Zoom window from Bo. Give me just a moment.
Can you unhide it for him?
Is there anybody on Zoom? I do have a couple of people on there.
Anybody on Zoom wishing to offer public comment in the public hearing regarding the 2025 budget? Seeing none.
None. Okay, so if there's no commenters for the public hearing, it's 8:39. We'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-08.
You will need to adjust those figures in the resolution to reflect the ones on the screen in front of you.
Okay, so we'd basically, if someone wants to move to approve, they would move to approve as modified
Mhm.
with these numbers.
Yes.
We probably ought to state the numbers so they're on record. And since we've had a lot of discussion, I'll go ahead and make the motion. I'll move we approve resolution 2024-08 as modified during our meeting tonight, with the total numbers being total revenues, $886,905. Total expenses, $882,909.55, leaving us with a net increase of $3,995.45. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2024-08 as modified. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is consideration of posting of the town vacancy for the town manager position. During our work session, we did go through and make several changes. And trustees, did you want any further discussion? No. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion on posting this revised position description for our town manager.
I'd like to move that we post the town vacancy manager position as we modified during the work session.
I will go ahead and second. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the posting of the position description as modified. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
How did you vote?
I said aye.
You said aye. Okay, so that would be a 3-1 pass. So we'll need to get all the updates. Make sure all the updates are in, get that posted tomorrow, if we can. Okay, that brings us to item number 7. Or any further discussion items? Item 8, I will say the board has received, letters from the public regarding town manager positions. All the board members have received them. We've got a file available for inspection if you'd like to see what was sent in. And then we'll move on if there's no other correspondence. None. We'll move into the final public comment period. Okay, we have a commenter.
Hi, Nancy Dixon, 11045 Iona Avenue, and I just want to invite everyone here to Yule Days this weekend. Saturday, we're going to have a craft fair at the church from 9 to 4. The grilled cheese food truck is going to be there at 11, so come and get your grilled cheese. That evening, is the Elite Equine Gala that's going to be at Joyland. So they've reduced their tickets to $75 a person. So we encourage the community to support this new nonprofit. And speaking of nonprofits, Green Box, Building Ute Pass Community, the town of Green Mountain Falls, Cantina Verde, and the Outlook Lodge and the church are all partnering to bring this weekend to our community. That's on Saturday. On Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock, we got a lot of fun activities. We have cookie decorating, we have ornament painting, Santa, of course. We have hay rack rides. We have the Yule log hunt, which is going to be done by Trustee Ives and his wife. And we'll have some cookies at the church, and then we're going to have the beautiful bells ring us over to the tree lighting at Gazebo Park at 5 o'clock. After that, it's nightcaps over at Green Box. And I really encourage everyone to participate in this. It's going to be a fun event, a community event, something that, we just need to build that community. And it's supposed to be sort of good weather. So, I'm just an invite to everyone here, and you can publish that too in your papers. All right, thanks.
Okay, any other public comment in the audience? Go to Zoom.
I'm not seeing anything coming in from Zoom.
Okay. We have finished this public comment. It is 8:45 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.